Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Ash coming to you for another great video. I am so fired about this one because it talks about good debt and bad debt. You probably heard of that expression before, but I want to show you some of the comparisons on when people borrow money to purchase things, whether it's consumables or to eat even out in a restaurant, whatever the case may be. How do you classify good debt and bad debt? When I was a kid, I learned that debt was bad, like you didn't want to get into debt. Well, however, that is true. You don't want to get into that, but sometimes our better self takes advantage of us and saying, I want that thing so bad. I'll put it on payments, no problem. I'll put it in a layaway plan and I'll get the watch that I always wanted. I'll get the dress that I always wanted, whatever the case may be, right? So I'm going to show you my screen here. I'm going to do some comparisons on how you should look at debt, good debt and bad debt. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen with you. So let's pop in and this way you can better understanding how it works. So here we go. I'm gonna put this on the side. And let's talk about this. So the first thing is good debt and bad debt. Buying things on credit that depreciate. And here are some examples: furniture, cars, trucks, personal items, like clothes and watches that I was just mentioning, techie gadgets and electronics, vacations and trips. All of these we consume. But did you know that 90% of the population here in America are purchasing these things on financing, on going to the store and saying, yeah, I'll put this on a payment plan. And guess what? They're paying interest on that, right? And the fact of the matter is the value in terms of hard dollars goes down when you use these items for personal use. Now, there's a distinction here. Some of these items you do need to purchase for business expense. And that's another video I'm going to talk about later on. But right now, I wanted to give you comparisons on when we purchase stuff, we do it on a credit card and we don't pay that credit card on time, we're using it to pay the minimum payment. That means you're borrowing that money, that means, okay, or getting a loan for this stuff, okay? That is what I term call bad debt, because these items you should be purchasing unless it's for businesses that you absolutely need, and for a job you absolutely need to have a car. I get it, but the fact of the matter is most people purchase this stuff on financing. And here's the score: when you purchase this on financing, it ends up costing you more in the long run, right? And there's no what I call monetary ROI, monetary ROI. And that's what good debt does, is monetary ROI. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. So that's an example of some bad debt where we spend money. Now, here's an example of good debt, debt that is used to generate income. That's right. Debt you use to borrow money to make money. All right. So buying things on credit that appreciate or have an ROI or both. Example of that is real estate. So real estate is a good example of borrowing money, putting into real estate, because most people don't have like three, four, $500,000 to buy a piece of property these days, right? They have to borrow the money. And even if you did have it, most real estate gurus would tell you, hey, you know what? Take that money and to spread it over to multiple properties, which is obviously another topic we can discuss. But you want to borrow the money to borrow risk. Why? Because they're not making any more land. Most places where you purchase real estate, if you buy it right, it's going to appreciate in value. So that's number one. Number two, fine arts. Look, if you take a look at in today, now the NFTs are coming in and you can get fine arts even using crypto. So NFTs, of course, that is. So here's another thing, that something that appreciates in value, that means they'll have less of. Now, even I can get into classic cars. That's another example of borrowing money that will appreciate money, but it's a long haul to take a car that's maybe, let's say, 30 years old or 12 or maybe more, and upkeep it, make it look good, and then buy that car, and then to sell it maybe 5, 10 years from now. You could make some money off of that too, and borrow the money for that. Unless it's stocks into the way. People borrow money to put into stocks and doing option trading. They have made some money there as well. A little risky though. Number four, advertising. Advertising, if you have a business, you borrow money for traffic, for ad spend, for to promote your product or service. Guess what happens? If you borrowed $1, okay, and from that ad, you generated, let's say, $5 in revenue, that's not bad, right? Because that way you're generating income from borrowed money, which means you could pay off that $1 pretty quickly. Let's go into business systems. A business system is like a franchise model, something that is set up, it's automated. You borrow money for that. Yeah, that can make you money as well, right? So that's a return on your investment. Let's look at number 6, business tools like books, AI technology, software. This is where you may need to spend thousands of dollars to purchase tools like that. To what? For what? For growing your business. And I can get into even like inventory. People buy, finance their inventory, because guess what? They're going to make money off of it. So that's another one that should be added to this list. Number 7, this is the best one for me that I like. I don't mind even borrowing money if I have to build my intellectual property, and that is personal development courses, anything that would make you a better person, that would increase your financial IQ or your business IQ, I call it. Guess what? When your value goes up as a person, you know more about a skill, something you can enhance. An example could be, let's just say you didn't know how to type that well and you're online. You you borrow money to get a course on typing, or using your, most people don't forget the word what typing is because of the typewriter has been lost so many years now. But how to improve that? You may have to borrow $2,000-3,000 for that. That's a good thing, because that's a skill that would enhance and maybe land you a nice job or build your business 20-30 times more than $2,000 for that course. So you have to look at that as another way to generate income by developing a skill. Number 8, business courses. Like there's a course called the 2-Day MBA. There's a book actually called out there, okay? And if you were to, let's say, borrow money to get a course to become better at business, learning about business knowledge, that's a good way to enhance your skills again. Number 9, mentorship. This is one of the big ones, and people get hung up about it because they say, you know what, if I'm going to do it, I just want to do it the low cost method. Well, the low cost method will produce low results in profitability. Okay, so don't mind of spending more money on somebody who's been there, done that already. It's like you're jumping into the future of your future goal and bringing it into the present. Look what I'm saying. Somebody who's already achieved the goal that you want to achieve, having access to their knowledge into their database and having them work with you, rub shoulders with you, is so, so powerful, because the fact that you're getting a mentor who's gone through the trails of trial and tribulation, perhaps, or maybe has hired a higher paying mentor. Give you an example, okay? I was once at a convention, and we had the former President Bill Clinton come in, and you wouldn't believe the knowledge this guy possesses when he was up on stage talking to them. Guess what? He's hired mentors too in his lifetime, okay? And I know one of them was actually Tony Robbins. So you can see that that even top level people hire mentors to get to the next level. So if you can't have access to Tony Robbins, which charges $1 million a year, by the way, to be a mentor for Tony Robbins, you could hire people that have hired Tony Robbins to being their mentor. So it's just like getting access to the people who have paid even much more than that. Think about it. It actually is cheaper to hire a mentor than to do it your own way. Because guess what? It costs you time doing it your way. Here, it costs you money. What's more valuable, time or money? Especially as you get older, time becomes more valuable than money. So let go of some of your money to put it into getting access to time, because you're bringing the future faster. You're actually, it's like you're buying your way to the top penthouse right away, instead of going up the stairs the long way. That is what mentorship, coaching groups, one-on-one coaching can do for you. It is so immense, so powerful, because you get the information real time. This is the other thing I want to mention. It's real-time training. Think about this. If you have access to a book, which is good, you need to read books, you can, you need to have knowledge, but sometimes those information get obsolete. I have some books back there that are over 20 years old. I still have them, but I know some of that information that's in that book is obsolete, so I don't read it. But guess what? When you have a mentor teaching you and training you real time, that's real-time training. That is much faster, and you get to save time that way. Number 10, going to events, business seminars, and conventions. This is huge, because it's different when you're around people in a live audience. It's different than hearing it on audio or on a video, or even on a CD. Okay, so when you're physically there around that environment, what happens is your channels of understanding a concept go way up. Why? Because you hear it, you can actually see people around absorbing it, and you can actually rub shoulders with other people who have the same kind of goals that you have. and you learn from their experience. They might even ask a question to the speaker while you're sitting there. And guess what? That question that they asked got you making more money, or figured out a solution that you, or a problem that was about to happen. You're so glad you heard that question. That's a great question. So this is why having a group session training is, in my opinion, equivalent to having a one-on-one session, because sometimes you don't ask the right questions, and then later on you finish the conversation, and then you come up with a problem. So why did I ask him that question at that time? That's the benefit of having group calls and a business environment, or in seminars as well. I want to analyze a couple of things here. Let's talk about this good debt and bad debt. Let's say you borrowed $40,000 to buy an SUV. Okay, and I can show you your payments on that would be something like this. Let me just see if this is the screen. No, this is the screen. So I took $40,000. Here you can see my screen, and we put an interest rate of 7.5% at a 5-year term. Calculated the amount, it comes up to about $800 for that payment to come up with. Okay, so you can see that if you borrowed that much money to buy an SUV, why would it happen? Now, I understand you need a vehicle for personal or business use, whatever, but look at the value of that information, what happens to it. So it's very important to look at. Go back to that screen again. Okay, so your payments would look like I just showed you here, $801. But look what happens after 1 year with your asset, the SUV. How much is it worth? No. So what I did is I popped up ChatGPT and I asked the same question: how much is a $40,000 Toyota SUV worth after 1 year of use? This is what ChatGPT says. The value of the vehicle typically depreciates significantly in the first year for a Toyota SUV, or any basically vehicle, I can tell you, but this is one of the ones I just picked out. You can expect to lose anywhere from 15 to 20% of its value in the first year alone. However, the exact depreciation can vary depending on, of course, the condition, the model, and all that, how much you've driven. Assuming you depreciated, let's say 20%, I'm just going to use that number here. Okay, initial investment 40,000. You put it on payments. Okay, and your payments, what I just showed you, was $801 a month. And look what happens after 1 year. It goes down 20%. You can see here, ChatGPT tells me it's 32,000 value. Now look at the other thing. If you take your calculator right now and you multiply $801 times 12, it's $9,612 that you've paid out in 1 year. But if I take $9,601 subtracted by 40,000, I should have had minus 40. Look at this. I should have had down to 30,388. Obviously, that didn't happen. I still owe $32,000. Why? Because of interest, obviously, right? And guess what? This purchase that I made is not tax deductible unless it's for business use, of course, right? So that's the situation when we borrow money for purchases that go down in value. Now let's take a look at what happens. That's the example there. When you invest that same amount of money into a business, maybe like affiliate marketing or any business for that matter, online, that you can get into these days. Okay. So if you take that 40,000, and I'm not going to give you any specific numbers because it varies. You could take, I've seen people that come in with that 40,000, they borrowed their monthly payment because they did not a 5-year term. They actually did like a 10-year term. And this is what the numbers look like. You can see I took that same 40,000. Here we go. This one. Yep. And I took it a 10-year term at a 7% interest rate, because you're using it for a longer period. Look at the payments, $464 a month. $460 a month to run a $40,000 valued business. It should be valued at more than that. But let's say you have access to $40,000 in your pocket and you're only giving up $464.43 every month. Here's how you have to look at this, guys and ladies. You're putting out $464 every month, but yet you're controlling $40,000 worth of value. Think about it. Right? So if it takes you, let's just say 3 months to land, let's say 10,000 a month after 3 months of doing online marketing, that $10,000, how does it cost you to in the first 3 months? That's less than $1,500. Take this number, multiply it by 3 in 3 months, right? That's less than $1,500 you've put out and you made 10,000 back because of the knowledge you learned, because you did the right things, you followed the mentors, you did all these things. Let's go back to that screen again, because you invested into all of these things right here. That's the reason why you, maybe not the stocks and bond, but let's just say this part right here and down, all this. If you took that money and put it into all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 key components, don't you think you could make at least 10,000 a month? Ask yourself. So think about it. In 1 year from now, if you did 10,000 a month, starting 3 months later, when you first started this, that's 9 months, 9 times 10,000. That's what, $90,000 you made in 1 year. You put out 40,000 and you got back 90, and you didn't even have to put out the whole 40,000. Why? Because in 3 months you started to make money, which paid the loan off. That's the beauty of getting into a business like this, where you can leverage all this stuff for a fraction of what you can invest into on a conventional business. All right. So look at good debt. This is okay to borrow money. And the thing is this, the debt you're borrowing for good debt becomes a tax write-off as well for next year. So you get to use all this money and not pay taxes on it, at least for the first year. But unless you don't, once you make your profit on it, then on that profit, of course, you got to pay some taxes on that to keep Uncle Sam happy, right? Hope that makes sense. Make sure you like this video, share it, and do all the YouTube-y stuff that you got to do. I'll talk to you in the next video. Make it a great day. Take care.